I have been a terrible daffodil bulb mom. Look at this. I've let these guys go mushy in the basement. I was supposed to plant these back in October or November, and I didn't. I didn't have time, and I was starting to learn that my fall is really, really cramped. I've got 2 kids' birthdays. That one's dead. 2 kids' birthdays right in between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And so if I'm going to do something, I really need it to be before Thanksgiving, and that's just sometimes really hard. So I'm going to give myself some grace, and hopefully not too many of these look like this. But last year I had a whole bunch of, had a whole bunch of rotten ones, and the ones that weren't quite rotten are coming up right now. So these are a forgiving bulb. These are a forgiving bulb, and that's one of the reasons I use them. The first place I'm going to use them, even though most of them are going to go in the orchard, is right here. This is our well. I just cleared out most of this sage. I'm going to be putting that on the burn pile in a little bit. And then this is just covering up the wellhead. And I like to keep this pot here because it looks a little better than nothing. So I'm going to clear this out and put some of these bulbs here. Maybe we'll get some this year, and if not, I'll just move them to the orchard. We're going for least effort, most reward, as is my normal. I just dug out a lot of the soil that was in this pot. I'm going to reuse it, which is a big no-no typically, but I'm not too worried about it in this case. So I'm just going to pile that soil right back on there, and then we'll call it done. All set. We should see these guys popping out in the next couple weeks. Daffodils always bloom a lot later than I expect up here, and since these ones had a rough start, that one's already getting ready to show. These ones may go like a month later than typical. Okay, it's the next day, and I've been still working on this front area right next to our main entrance here. I got all the mums. We have a really good area for growing mums, and they just come back every single year. So I cut all the dead growth off of those and just cleaned out a lot of the debris that had accumulated in this bed. It's right off of our main porch, so all kinds of stuff falls into this bed. But I have a couple plans. One of my plans is to take this arborvitae, which hasn't really done much over the past 2 years that it's been here. I'm actually going to move that right here. I know that sounds like a strange thing to do. And then I have 2 other arborvitaes in the front of my house in planters, big urns, that I'm actually going to put here and here. So then we'll have 3 of those so they can get tall and provide a little bit of a screen. And then none of these plants that you see growing here that are green, these are all bulbs that were here when we moved here. I didn't plant any of these. So, like, this is a tulip. This is, I think it's this thing called Nazareth Star or Star of Bethlehem, something like that. It's a real pretty little bulb, but I don't necessarily need a whole bunch of them here. So I've been gradually moving these out to the orchard. And then those are daffodils. Those are planted so deeply that even though I've moved a whole bunch of them already, there are so many that I haven't been able to move because I just couldn't dig down deep enough, and I broke off their stalks and didn't get the bulb out. So I'm going to try to get some of those. And then I also have a spot for hanging baskets here. And I'm going to try to put some of those bulbs that I'm going to move anyway in those hanging baskets. And then once they finish out their life for this year, I'll move the bulb into the orchard, which is where all the bulbs are going anyway. The other 2, they are quite a bit bigger than the one I just put on the side of the house, so that's why I moved the smaller one so that these 2 could flank it. It's kind of sad to take them out of these pots, but I've repotted these pots many times, and I love putting an evergreen in there around Christmas time and then taking it out and putting it somewhere else when I want to. Check this out. These were so healthy and had so much growth on them and rooted in that they took every bit of soil out of those pots. So I'm going to have to put some more potting soil in when I replant it, but they look wonderful. Hopefully in the ground they'll stay just as healthy. I'll show you just how deeply these daffodils are planted. They've just been mulched over and mulched over, so they just have to work so hard to even get to the surface. Look, that one has a bloom right at the ground level. So I'm gonna stick my shovel all the way in, and hopefully I won't break any. I stuck my shovel all the way to the ground after I dug it out a little bit even. And hopefully, yep, there they are. So this is, look how deep these are. Look at that. So even though I got quite a few, oh, see, I broke that one. Even though I got quite a few, there'll still be some left in the ground. They'll probably multiply this next year, and I'll be moving those next year. Well, here I am at the end of my second afternoon working on this. It's about to rain, so I'm really out of time, and I've really made more work for myself. I've made more mess than progress here. I have a bunch of these little bulbs to replant. I had to dig a lot of them up because I was putting these arborvitaes here. I did plant these though. They look great. You should see the place where I dug them out of though. That's pretty. The urns on the porch are in a state though, so that's another task for another day. Here's more of these, and then I have a bunch of mums that I dug out that I definitely want to keep, but I'll have to find a place for those. I could put them right here in front. That would look really nice. It's maybe in between these arborvitaes because they get really big and they're gorgeous. The mums do. They just grow so well here. There's more over there. I just have tons and tons of mums. But I did plant my hanging baskets. Look how cute. This should turn green as soon as it gets a little bit of chlorophyll on its leaves when the sun hits it. So I'll water these in and have somebody tall hang these up for me. But there we go. My second day working on this, and it is still a mess.